Recording. Awesome. Welcome. Oh, so last session was a little bit of a heavier hitter, right? The sitting down and thinking about what we're thinking about, dealing with our emotions, kind of processing and handling what's going on inside that head of ours. And that one is can be a little heavier, right? Dealing with what we're thinking about can be a little bit more difficult. So this week we are going to lighten it up and we're going to talk about hydration. I feel like hydration, though many people do struggle to drink enough water, it is not an emotional struggle. It is just a, need to buckle down and do it. So I'm hoping this week is going to be a little bit of a lighter lift for you guys. So we all know that hydration matters, but what if the way that we were taught to hydrate is incomplete? This week, we're going to fix one of the sneakiest root causes of fatigue, anxiety, and sleep issues, and that's mineral imbalances. Excuse me. I had a cold last week and it's still lingering. So many women that I know and many women that I work with, they drink water all day long. Like they carry around their Stanley mug or their water bottle, like their cute little glass water bottle that matches their outfit or whatever, but they're still feeling dehydrated, tired, headachy, dizzy or lightheaded. They're still craving salt and sugar. And that's because water without minerals dilutes the body's electrolyte balance. Overhydration without minerals. So for overhydration, drinking a lot of water without minerals can flush the minerals that we need that are in our body. They can flush those out and with our urine, and we need those minerals to help us to feel good. So minerals are like spark plugs to our cells. They power every cellular function. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, and chloride are key for energy production, mood and focus, sleep quality, and our stress response. That one is key. You lose minerals. So here are the way that we lose minerals or burn through our minerals. Caffeine. Having caffeine requires our body needs to use more minerals to metabolize the caffeine. Stress. Stress burns through our minerals. And a lot of times my clients will say, well, how is that? Because when we are stressed and our adrenal glands have to produce stress hormones, that takes a lot of B vitamins and a lot of minerals. So stress will burn through our minerals. Sweating. When we sweat, so if we're taking a lot of saunas or working out heavily, or if it's just really hot out, which most of us are struggling with this time of year, but when we sweat, we lose minerals in our sweat. Processed foods, digesting processed foods because our liver has to metabolize them a little bit differently. Our body has to metabolize them a little bit differently. Our liver has to package up the like the non-food parts of that, the food chemicals, the kind of the junk, the toxins, that takes more minerals. And then again, like I mentioned, overhydration with plain water can just cause us to flush some of those minerals out. And then your adrenals. So it's important to note because, as I mentioned, stress is one of the top reasons that we burn through our minerals or lose minerals. Our adrenals need sodium and potassium to function well, but so does every single cell in our body. Every single cell in our body has a sodium potassium pump. And when our sodium and potassium are out of range or out of balance, it makes it hard for the nutrients to get inside of the cell and for the junk to get outside of the cell because that sodium potassium pump isn't working properly. So there's some simple hydration upgrades. You don't have to go out and buy fancy powders or products. You can, but you don't have to. I always recommend that we start with the basic habits, like some basic strategic habits. And then if you want to add in fancy powders, electrolyte powders later, you can definitely do that, but let's start simple. So it's always accessible to us. So, starting your day with 32 ounces of water with a pinch of unrefined salt. So, this is going to be the key unrefined salt. We do not want to use table salt here. No Morton's, no table salt. Um, Celtic salt is a good one. If you live in the area that I live in, Gladstone, Escanaba area, Healthway carries Celtic salt in bulk, meaning you can just buy it. They buy it in bulk and you can buy it in small little packages so you can try it out. This is a gray salt, or Redmond's real salt is another decent option. Healthway also carries that. You can find these online as well. And then there's something called Baja Gold. That is another one. I typically start out recommending Celtic or Redmond's just because they're easily accessible. Baja Gold, it's BAJA Gold, can be found on Amazon as well. Um, Himalayan salt is not my favorite, and it's not because I have a problem with the Himalayan salt itself. It's that Himalayan salt can be purchased by anybody and can have additives, things put in it, ground up and resold. But Celtic salt comes from one source, and then Redmond's real salt comes from one source. So those two are the typical ones I have my clients start with. So you're going to take this 32 ounces. This can be a quart-sized canning jar, and you're going to add a pinch. And mine, for me, typically ends up being about a quarter of a teaspoon. If you want to start with an eighth of a teaspoon or a literal pinch, you can. And then we're going to sip on this water throughout the first half of the day, like first, maybe from the time you wake up until like 1 o'clock. We don't want to chug it. We just kind of want to sip on it throughout the day. And then ideally, we would be aiming to have about 64 ounces of water in a day. And then we would just do that again the second half of the day. Fill up that jug again and adding a little bit of salt to it. If you want, like I mentioned, you don't need fancy powders. But if you wanted, you can add electrolytes to that. Trace Minerals has a Utah sea salt. Trace Minerals themselves taste very metally, very minerally, and I don't like what they do to I don't like the flavor they give to the water, so I find I don't drink those. But the Trace Minerals brand has a Utah, I think it's called Utah sea salt. It's liquid. You can just squeeze it in. um, Redmond has Redmond Relight. It's Element, LMNT. That is pretty high in sodium and not as high in potassium and magnesium as I would like, but it is still an option. If you're going to do that, I recommend adding like a quarter teaspoon of cream of tartar to it because cream of tartar is high in potassium and that'll give it a better sodium potassium ratio. And then there's something called Potassium Cocktail. This is by Jigsaw. This one's my favorite. They have a cherry limeade that I really love. And then I add a little bit of salt to it still. So I'll do my potassium cocktail. It used to be called pickleball cocktail. So if you've heard me talk about that previously, it's now called potassium cocktail. I'll add some salt to it, and then um, lemon juice because I think everything's better with lemon juice. Same thing goes with your morning water. If you're a lemon water kind of person, so when you're taking your 32 ounces of water and adding a pinch of salt to it, you can absolutely add lemon to it as well. Again, going with like the whole good, better, best, like we don't have to do everything perfectly, but ideally it would be fresh squeezed lemon, just because it has all the enzymes and everything in it. Um, well, ideally, I guess it would be an organic fresh squeezed lemon, so it doesn't have the pesticides. Next, the best would be like organic bottle of lemon juice because that's pasteurized, so it kills the enzymes, but it's still, it's still beneficial. I really don't recommend non-organic lemon juice because it has all sorts of crap added to it. Almost all of them do. They have like sodium benzoate or different preservatives in them. Lemon juice doesn't need a preservative. So if you get the organic, it just doesn't have the preservatives and you don't have to worry about that. The And then I don't recommend non-organic lemons either, although they're okay, but lemons tend to be one of the they have the pesticides on the rind there. And when you're squeezing it in a lemon squeezer, you're getting some of those oils out of that rind. I guess if it's going to be a lemon that is not organic, just make sure to wash it maybe with a little bit of soap, wash off the outside, rinse it real well, and then slice it and squeeze it. That was a total tangent. Okay, so going beyond starting your water with 30 or starting your day with a quart of water with a pinch of salt, sipping on it throughout the day, and then adding electrolytes if you want. Eating mineral rich foods and beverages is also an important part of this. Like to maintain our hydration, it doesn't have to just come from the water that we drink. So we can drink coconut water. Coconut water is one of the most potassium rich foods slash beverages out there. Aloe juice is as well, but again, you want to be careful. I think it's the Lake House brand that has aloe juice that doesn't have any preservatives in it. So that is a good one. Drinking bone broth. So either the homemade bone broth that you make or Kettle and Fire makes a really good bone broth that again, it's made with grass-fed beef, the bones. We want the animals. how do I want to say this? When we're drinking bone broth, it's coming from animal bones. We want those animals to be as healthy as possible. So, like a farm raised animal, pasture raised, all of that is pretty important when we're going to be doing things like that. So, Kettle and Fire has a good option for bone broth. Leafy greens, avocados, bananas, even seaweed, all of these things are very mineral rich. So, making a tweak to making sure we're getting more mineral rich foods can shift our energy, our focus, and even our sleep. It's a little gentle reset. So it supports our entire system because every cell in our body needs minerals. Like I mentioned, these are sort of like the spark plugs to our body. Every cell needs minerals, and hydration is healing. So, action step for this week: drink 32 ounces of water with a pinch of unrefined sea salt first thing each morning this week. You can add some lemon to it if you want. You can add some trace minerals to it if you want. And then what I want you to do is to observe any changes in your energy, your mood, or your cravings. So that is it. Tomorrow I will send out a replay email with your with your task for the week. I'll also be posting in the Facebook group. So definitely chime in, try this out. Let me know how it's going for you. Have a great day.